Welcome to Loopels, the thread between who we were and who we are becoming. Today's session is about partnership, not just in the obvious sense of marriage or business, but in the deeper sense of what it means to create, endure, and reinvent together. When considering who best embodies this concept of true partnership, it's hard to go past Bruce and Chyka Keebaugh. Together as husband and wife, Bruce and Chyka co-founded The Big Group, one of the largest privately owned catering and event companies in the Southern Hemisphere. This year they celebrate an extraordinary 35 years in business, an enviable achievement that has seen them grow from hosting unforgettable events to shaping entire experiences. Today, The Big Group extends far beyond parties and celebrations, encompassing retail offerings, brand collaborations, media partnerships, and a portfolio of owned event spaces. Beyond the scale of their success lies something even more enduring. They've built a shared life where business, creativity, and family are inseparable. This is the first time they've ever come together in conversation to discuss their remarkable achievements, but also how they've built a life and legacy together while never losing sight of individuality. The Loopels thread here is about what it means to grow together, to build a life and a legacy not in spite of challenge but through it, to turn every ending into a new beginning and to keep choosing each other in business and in life. Their story is one of reinvention, resilience, and above all, partnership. This is Bruce and Chyka, and this is where Loopels unfolds. Bruce and Chyka, welcome to Loopels. Is this the first time that you have both actually done a podcast together?
Yes, it is. It's you're breaking our cherry.
That's a lot.
Well, it's a total honour. Thank you so much. When I was thinking about this first conversation and the topic of partnership, I really didn't have to think that hard about who I felt best embodied that thought. You have both built a brand, a legacy, a career together, both personally and professionally. The story for me of Bruce and Chyka actually is one even beyond professional success. It's how you have both managed to intertwine your life, your family, and your careers in such a deeply authentic and engaging way. So I thought what I would do is go way back to the beginning. We'll start back at the start. 35 years ago, in fact.
This is a long time.
Has been a long time. 35 years this year, yes?
Yep.
Can't believe it.
Doesn't feel like a long time, though.
No, it doesn't feel like that.
It's gone very quickly.
Sounds longer than it feels.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
So when I think of The Big Group, I think of innovation, creativity and risk-taking. I want you to take me back to the moment where you had a conversation with each other and how that conversation played out, the roles that you both took that forced you to take the ultimate risk and start The Big Group.
Ooh, okay, that's a big one.
Do you want to go or I'll go?
Oh, you go, because we have slightly different opinions on this. So you say and then I'll say.
Well, the funny thing about those 35 years is so much of what has happened, we haven't had a conversation about, Helen, because there is an innate understanding between the two of us, which is kind of weird. Do you know what I mean? Like we've always had a direction and it was always sort of aligned. You know, sometimes I find people go, oh, that's black and that's white, whereas we've always gone, oh, that's all grey, let's keep going.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh, but I thought we were going to go about the business and how it all...
Well, the business just happened.
Well, it kind of did and it didn't, but I was already doing some work for people and I asked Bruce to come and be a waiter for me and I was doing the cooking. And we hadn't started The Big Group at this stage and I will never ever forget, and this says everything about Bruce. We've gone into this private home and I've cooked all the food and the husband comes out and says to Bruce, champagne?
In black tie, he was very elegant,
yes.
Turak, beautiful house host, and he comes and says, champagne, and I've gone, oh, that's lovely, thank you, that's really kind of you.
And I've looked at Bruce and said, you need to serve the champagne. You're like, oh, right. So that pretty much started up.
I never really wanted to be the waiter. I wanted to be him.
He always knew he was going places, Chyka.
Oh my God, it was so funny. I was mortified, like, what are you doing? You're meant to be helping me on a job. Anyway, obviously then the business grew and we very much knew kind of what we wanted to do. We were basically trying to save up money to travel overseas. That was the original concept of starting the business together, and we had met working for Peter Rowland, so we were both already in the industry, but then we decided we wanted to go out on our own and do our own thing, and of course the GFC happened and that was...
Crashed.
basically the smack bang of the business. But it was actually the best lesson I think we've ever had, because we learned how to be tight, how to be nimble. We learned, they're all things that I don't know how to do anymore. But at the time, we were amazing at just being able to, create a beautiful product. Bruce was the waiter, he was the marketer, he was the person out there selling. I was the one doing the food and all the other bits and pieces. So it just always sort of organically happened, didn't it?
Mm. We found a gap in the market, and it's like everything in business. If you can find value somewhere to provide value to your customer, then you've got an inroad. And our value was that we were cheaper than everyone else in the market because we had no overheads.
Yeah, and we were young. Yeah. Like we were literally 21 when we started the big group. So we had thought it would be a fun thing to do to, as I said, make some money to go on this overseas trip, which never actually happened the way we thought it was going to happen. And we realised that there was this area that we could both go into. And I think from the very beginning, we worked really, really well together. Yeah, we always talked about everything. We worked out, we'd go to the market and buy the food together. We'd cook, I don't know, it felt very natural and it felt very easy. And then as the business grew and changed and, more people came on board, it still felt like it was still us, but that we were very much in control of it, but in our own areas.
Okay, so Loopels is really about leaning into the pivots and ruptures in life. We all have them. There's moments of absolute challenge. When you think about the breaks in your journey, I'm sure there have been, both as partners but also as individuals, what are the moments that you can recall that could have gone in a really different direction? What stands out for you both?
It's funny, I call them T intersections. So, and you have them both professionally and personally. And it's very important to, when you see them, recognise it. Like a lot of people just keep on steamrolling ahead. And when major things happen, you have to either pivot to create value or to create an opportunity, or you have to stop and realise that this is a personal moment where you really need to take stock. So that's happened a lot through our life, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
It's funny, I think for me, one of the things that I really struggled with was we were both working full-time, 7 days a week. I was very much, once we set up the business, I then created the sort of design arm of our business. So I was going in and doing the setups for the jobs, and then Bruce would come and run the events. So we were sort of like, crossing over. But we had really young kids, and I think for me, I felt guilty, like there was no tomorrow, that I was missing school drop-offs or going into before school care, all of those sort of things, missing school events, concerts, football games, all the rest of it. And it's only now when both of my children or our children I should say, are growing up, and they've both acknowledged that at the time it was awful, but they realised that we gave them both great work ethics. So at the time it was awful, hard, and I felt guilty. I had parents who would make really nasty comments about, you've made the effort to come to school, not knowing how hard it was to actually juggle everything that we were doing, to now, 30 years later, with both of them acknowledging it and saying, thank you for those opportunities, because now we've got this amazing work ethic. So I feel like in that respect, balance has happened, which is nice.
I think also too, that was a perception that people put on women in that era far more than what happens now, right? I mean, the luxury that we had, and I turn that on its head, in that we had ultimate flexibility. We were our own bosses, we had our own company. I wasn't working at ANZ from 8 in the morning till 9 at night, and nor were you. We could go to school at 11 o'clock if we wanted to in the morning. We could be there and we could edit around. Now, our schedules have always been hectic, and that's probably where the kids are sort of pushing back. But there's a luxury to having your own business and being in charge of your own destiny for both men and for women.
Which I think we now, in hindsight, can say, but at the time, it definitely did not feel like that. It was really, really tough. And in my world, a lot of my friends actually didn't work.
Yes.
So therefore, there was that struggle as well of feeling like you were missing out on things, but then you were missing out on your family. And we made it work, and I think between the two of us, we both understood exactly what was going on. And I remember really clearly, I was having a bit of a crappy time and I was feeling a bit sorry for myself. And, we were not financially in the situation that we're in now. It was much, much harder. And I remember so clearly, I don't know if you remember this, Bruce said to me, we'd got a job and I think we'd been paid some cash. And he gave me $1,000 and he said, go and spend a day for yourself. And I went off and had my hair done and, went and bought an outfit and we went on a date that night. Now, that is something that probably doesn't sound that big a deal now. But at the time, when I was 28, 2 children, life was pretty tough and full on. I just remember that being one of those magical moments that I've never forgotten how special it was. So, Bruce always understood and saw those things. I didn't turn around and say the same thing back, actually, when I think about it. But it's always been really nice, and it's been very easy in that respect between the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had children young, right? So that, I think the pressures on you as a woman were, we were married at 23, by 24, 25 we had one and then another. And so that, and then a business, it's a lot, right? So that's, I think that's where the challenge sort of comes.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying, Chyka, really resonates, even for me personally. It's the juggle.
Yeah.
And something has to give, and generally it's you in that process.
Absolutely.
It's generally the woman.
Yeah.
It's generally the woman,
absolutely.
because a man just keeps on going. Like my life, quite frankly, never really changed. I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning, I'd be at the gym at 6 o'clock, I'd be at the office at 7, and I just kept on rolling. But for a woman, there's so much that has to edit and change, and that's why they're so much more flexible than men.
Love it.
And
Bruce.
you heard it.
Love it. We've got it on camera now.
Yeah, we do.
Bruce, tell me about a moment though where it was really challenging for you personally. 35 years, it doesn't have to be business, it can be personally, where you just went, I don't know.
I think so much of my persona is defined by the business, right? So it's really been a huge passion all the way through. As Cheek said, those early years, 0 to 10, cash flow is the hardest thing, right? So they're going, how are we going to pay the butcher, the baker and the candlestick maker? Oh, how are we going to pay the Sutherland House private school nanny fees, whatever it was? So it's juggling the money, right? So that's one of the hardest things as you're starting a business. And so they, usually that's when they fall down. And so that part for me was always super hard. And it wasn't until we grew the business and understood that we needed to get the seasonality out of it and we had to change and pivot and keep on going, that those challenges sort of went away, because financial stress impacts relationships, it impacts everything. So that in those eras was that. As we move back, I look back and I go, COVID was probably one of the biggest, challenges that business had. But there were many others in between that. Personally, I haven't had that many terrible, times. We're very lucky that we live within a really happy framework. We're not always happy. I mean, we sometimes do fight, but not very much.
I think that's really...
We very rarely fight, actually.
It is pretty rare. So from a personal point of view, we said off camera before we started, my father's in palliative care at the moment, right? So that's a challenge, right? So ageing parents is a really difficult thing. But equally, if I look back personally, I probably didn't have the most... happy upbringing, so I always say in business, the DNA of where you come from is so important as to how you make decisions and how you work and treat others. So I was the youngest of 3, and so I was the pleaser, because there's a lot of conflict going on between my mother and my 2 elder sisters. So my default position was to make everyone happy, right? I wanted to make everything. And the connection between both Cheeks and I is that we are both pleasers. So we'll do anything we can to please you. That's our sort of natural state. It's not unauthentic. That's just our natural, state of play. Yours, because of, your mother was fairly full-on exciting woman, my mother-in-law. And you were running around tidying up her dressing room after she left her mink coat and her, lipsticks all over the place. So we both, for different reasons, are pleasers.
Tell me about a time where you both had conflicting views on a decision or the direction of the business was going, and how you both worked through that, because I'm sure that there was absolutely those moments for you both.
There have been, but they were not major things. They were things more to do with a client's job. Could have been even one of your parties where we may have had a disagreement on whether it should have been pink or green or big or small or whatever it was, because we've never really, I've always trusted Bruce. He's always been an incredible leader, and he's also has a far bigger business acumen than I have. So I've always listened and been inspired what Bruce has said. He went off and did the MBA with Harvard for 3 years, and for me that was it was a huge sacrifice. He would go away for a certain period of time. I'd be left at home with the kids, still in the business doing things, but I knew how important it was. So I truly have always taken on board whatever Bruce has suggested. I've got my own opinion. I'm certainly not saying that I don't have one of those as well, but I've felt very comfortable in the direction, and you can pretty much guarantee that whenever Bruce has suggested something, it's kind of always been at a time when we've both gone, yep, now's the right time. And I remember very clearly when COVID happened and we didn't know what we were going to do, and Bruce said to me one morning, I've had a dream that we should build a garden. And I said, brilliant, I love it, let's do it. That then obviously led to the building of the commons, the garden, the outdoor eating, and it then became a really incredibly successful business. But it was Bruce's thought that made it happen. Yes, I helped create, find all the different bits and pieces to put in this beautiful garden, but it was very much a Bruce idea that we all took inspiration from.
But we're kind of conjoined, but we're different, right? So Cheeks, I would say, is... I always say there's a pendulum, right? I live here. Here's the accountant. Here's the lawyer, kind of over here. Here's the middle. Here's the creative. Here's Van Gogh with the ear on the ground. Cheeks is over here, right? You have a natural, authentic, creative style, and if there was things inside business of where push might have come to shove, it's like...
It's not my world.
Correct. So, someone might want something incredibly modernist. Someone might want a style that wasn't necessarily your aesthetic. That's where push started happening with clients, because it was like, no, this is beautiful and this is what you should have. And the client's like going, no, but this is what I want. And it's like, okay, here's my wife and here's the client and where's the outcome? So that, if there was any pushes, I would have thought at that stage.
I don't really remember any of that.
I do.
I had read that Cheeks is a details person.
Absolutely.
And you are a big picture person.
Yes, that's
without
true.
question.
I can see where that tension would come in.
That is absolutely true. I love detail. I'm sure you can see that with the knickknacks everywhere. I love storytelling through objects and, spaces and that sort of thing. Whereas Bruce sees the overall image of how it should be. And
I'm strategy, solutions and outcome. That's
you
me.
are.
Yeah.
I don't have creative words like that. I need to think of some myself.
You're naturally creative. You don't need the words.
You touched on COVID, which is really interesting, because I think that the weight around that for you both, not only for your own livelihood, but also the many people that work for you, it would have been significant. So I just want to know how you lent into the fear and the doubt during that period as a partnership.
I'll just say from a personal side, it was tough because both our kids were overseas too and we didn't have them at home. And I think that then made it real because, Chessie was living in New York at the time and they were having a really tough time.
Burying bodies out the front of a
building, and she actually got COVID in March 2020 and we couldn't go and help her. She was very sick. She was living in Brooklyn. Yes, she was seeing all the ambulances come past with it was awful. And, we'd speak to her at night time and you'd hear all the, I don't know if you remember, but they used to clap all the health workers at 7 o'clock every night. And so you'd hear it. That I found really hard, plus obviously the business part of it. And I remember so clearly the day Bruce said, we're going to have to shut the business down. And I had to go to a dentist appointment and I sat in the chair bawling my eyes out because I didn't know what was going to happen. It was scary. And, my mum and dad don't live that far away. They're an hour away. I don't think we saw them for about 8 months. So
was that a bonus? Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's a joke.
So all of that, I think, just layered on top of the staff that were working with us inside the business, our kids. It was hard, and every day I think we all had a different emotion. I could be having a great day, that would be a tough day for Bruce, and we always tried to just monitor it together so that we were pretty consistently on the same page. Do you agree? And thank God for this beautiful dog because he also was our little saviour as well.
He was. Look, it was a really defining moment, I think, for myself personally, for the business. I mean, when you're confronted with a fairly substantial business going to zero revenue overnight and the impacts that has on people, that's really hard. That said, I find when I look at myself and look back over time, I'm actually good when my back's against the wall. So you give me pressure, you give me a problem, I'm going to find a solution to that thing. And so I think, our people, our family, our big group family was the most important thing. And we made a commitment, and it was guttural, but we both were in total alliance that we would commit to looking after all our people. And so, we had people on major wages, so $750 when JobKeeper came in, and we made these decisions well before the government interacted, was to say our people are everything and we have to protect them. So we blew up a lot of assets in order to make sure that happened. But if we had not done that and sustained those 2 years, we wouldn't have had the culture and we wouldn't have had the work ethic and the people inside the business that has then, we have doubled our business since COVID due to a lot of hard work and acumen and, pivoting and changing. But that business is stronger, twice the size that it was pre-COVID. So I feel very proud of that.
And you should, because the loyalty, when I speak to some of your staff, is off the charts, and culturally, you must be very proud of that.
Absolutely. We have got an incredible team. And in fact, I think the team right now is the best it's ever been. And I think it's because of the hardship of it all.
Yeah, and there was a raw beauty to COVID, right? At the same time too, we stopped. You know, we had the luxury of having a place out of town, so we could be in the country and we could be together and, you know, we'd cook. I mean, I looked back the other day at my Instagram, you know, you look back at the pictures, and I'm thinking, who's that fat, hairy bastard? And it was me. I had a mutter of a beard down.
So not true, Bruce.
And I'm ranting on the thing. I mean, oh my God.
You were not ranting, actually. That's the one thing you can't say, because everybody loved, because you made a massive effort to talk.
But we certainly all let ourselves go a bit during COVID.
No, we had moments. We had one lockdown, we were on diets and exercising every day.
We were
Second
alcoholics.
lockdown, we didn't. Then we went back onto the diet. Then we did it. It was like a...
But the beauty of it is having that moment. And I had hoped after COVID that, you know, from a broader global kind of perspective, that we would have all learned a lesson, you know, and lent into how important it is to have time and to, you know, be together and for the quiet, you know, to not be on social media, not to be on email 24/7. There was something really special about that. And of course there was a horror going on at the same time. But in between that, there were these really fantastic moments that I cherished a lot. And it taught me a lot about how I wanted to live forward. So for us now, we're looking at, you know, we're 57, or I am. You're 56, yeah, whatever. Quite close in age. And we'll be 60 soon. So I'm really all about what does 60 to 80 look like? And so part of my journey was always when I was 15, I looked 55, you know. So I always planned everything in 5-year blocks.
I can't wait to talk about the next chapter, and we will. I just want to take you a step back, Bruce. Capital Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Feels like a long time ago now, doesn't it?
It was a long time ago.
It does. Was a risk at the time because it was really about diversifying your brand. And I think that ultimately you chose to move away from that project. But how do you assess risk and what you've learned from those types of ventures?
What was interesting about Capital Kitchen, and Cheeks had proved this in the very beginning when, and she loves retail. I can't bear retail. I love scale and I love numbers and I like knowing the events business is a secret formula. Everyone doesn't understand, but I know every day if we're serving 13,500 people at X rate, I know exactly how much labour and how much food we need. Retail, you open the door and go, oh, I hope someone comes into my restaurant or cafe. I can't stand it. But she loves the beauty of the customer and the VM and all of that kind of stuff.
Experience.
So when we saved that first money to go overseas, we went to the south of France, and then Cheeks created a store called Provençal. And it was her dream and her baby, and she loved it. What that store did for us was it opened the windows of the back office, and the back office was the big group. So we would get amazing editorial from Vogue, Mode, you know, all those magazines in the day, which gave true editorial. When we did Capital Kitchen, it did the same thing. So it supercharged the big group business. Otto just likes to move around. It supercharged the big group business because once again, it put these eyes onto it. The Commons, many years later after COVID, did the same thing. Our businesses in Sydney now, Canvas, for example, is a retail window that opens the channel to the main mastership. So throughout all of that, those pivots and those turns have been very successful and great for us.
They have been. Chyka, some would say joining the Real Housewives of Melbourne was absolutely a bold risk. Personally, I felt like you navigated that brilliantly.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the approach, the fears that came along with taking on that project and becoming a Real Housewife.
I'd already done 4 years of Good Morning Australia, so I sort of thought I knew about television, and that I thought if I could work with Bert Newton, I could work with anybody. The show was kind of sold to me on the fact that it was going to be about these 7 women, friendships and, you know, the ups and downs, and it kind of wasn't that. But I thought to myself, what an amazing opportunity. I think at the time I must have been 45, and I thought, you know, when do you get an opportunity in your life when you're older to be able to do something like that? And I'm a massive believer that if you walk through the door, you've got to go through it properly and open-armed, whatever happens. And there were a few things that were important to me that I knew that I was never going to break. One was my marriage, the business, and the children. They were the 3 things that I really cared about the most, but the rest of it was whatever happens, happens. I also wanted to show who I really was, and I knew that I wanted to use it as an opportunity to grow my own brand because I really love the world of retail and I wanted to create homewares and lifestyle products and all the rest of it. And I thought this was a really fun and easy way to do it. It certainly had its ups and downs, but did I ever expect to be in New York in Times Square on a billboard? No, I didn't. I got to meet the most incredible people. I still to this day, snoring.
Did you hear Otto snore there?
It's the sign.
Sorry, everybody does snore.
Are we okay with that?
No, it's natural. It's authentic. Otto loves to snort.
I just gave you a nice snort.
So like, these amazing opportunities, and even still today, I'll be in London and someone will come up to me and say, "Oh my God, I loved you on The Housewives." So
it was the biggest Australian show ever internationally.
Yeah,
it absolutely was. But
huge.
For me, and I said it to you in the beginning, that you left The Housewives in a position of strength.
Yes.
What was the calculus that said leaving now protects the next chapter for
I
me?
knew that
it was getting nasty.
It was getting nasty, and I also don't like that. That is not my personality. I am not a fighter, and I didn't like the direction it was heading in. And I also thought that I didn't really... Bruce and I have always been a partnership, and we've been equal. And it got to a point where we'd go to events and they'd basically push him out of the way for a photo, and I was like, no, that doesn't work for me. That's the most superficial way of describing what was going on. But I knew that I'd had an amazing ride. It had been fun, but I didn't want to go any further.
There was also some guttural stuff that was going on there, right? There was a sort of a click. The more loud you are, the more salacious you can be, the more airtime you get. So there's a whole genre of stuff that was going on there. And when you talk conflict, of where we were conflicted, that was definitely a moment of conflict.
Moment.
Yeah, that wasn't why Cheeks had left though. Like, you made a decision and she'd made a personal commitment to do 3 years. It had done everything that she needed to do to then envelop that brand. And you went in the beginning thinking this is great for Big Group. But in the end, as you went through it, this was this mastermind opportunity for her to create her own national personal brand.
Yes.
And that's what you've levered off and finished your circle just about.
Yeah, but look, I also had fun. I really do have fun. Absolutely. And I got to do incredible things, and, I do not have any regrets.
No, I can't imagine you would. It was an incredible journey for you both. And I really respect your words around protecting your partnership.
Absolutely. It was really important to me, actually. Very important.
Kids, of course, as well. Bruce, as I flipped through your stunning book, By Invitation Only, what struck me wasn't just the stories around the events and society gatherings. It was actually this quiet, beautiful thread that was running through it, that you and Chyka in many ways have been extensions of people's families. And you've been there creating the backdrop for some of the most defining moments in people's lives. You've actually, in a sense, safeguarded their memories. So when you think about that now, what does that really mean to you both? To know that your work hasn't only been just business and beauty, it's actually been about weaving yourselves into the fabric of people's lives in such a intimate and enduring way.
It's a really emotional piece, and one of the reasons why I particularly wanted to do the book was to express this amazing work that so many people hadn't seen. And we work in multiple areas, so that the book very much touches on the private world, whereas the corporate is probably 80% of the business. But our involvement with those people, the grandparents of the grandchildren and the parents, are all our clients. So we have been in seminal moments of people's lives all the way through. And we've made some incredible friends. We've learned so much from the most amazing people who are, Australia's most prominent business people, and their acumen has taught us a lot. It's taught us about life. It's taught us a lot about relationship. It's definitely taught me a lot about business. Also taught me a little bit about bad behaviour as well.
What not to do.
But the luxury is, yes, you have these intimate moments when you're in people's homes, and you spend sometimes, 6 to 18 months with them just on a project, and that happens again and again and again. So over those 35 years, we have dropped in and out of people's lives, and they've become very deep, dear friends to us.
In terms of setting a high bar, I think it's fair to say the execution and the way that you go about things is next level. Do you ever feel like you're competing with your own legacy?
It's an interesting point. No, I don't think of it like that, because I always see each project, especially those private commissions, as an individual moment in time. And every time the phone rings, it's like something totally new. And I think that's what is the excitement. That's the adrenaline rush. That's the circus people in us. We go, we set up the tent, we go to the next one, we go to the next village and the next village. So that for me is what's, I've never gone to work for a day and be bored, because everything's always new. So as we've moved now more into the more commercial side of our business, and as it's scaled so much more than where it started, I still find that adrenaline rush in building new venues or building new contracts. So it's a very fun industry, yeah.
Bruce, if you were to write Chyka's next chapter, what would you title it?
I was going to say, here we go again. And that could be it, actually. Because Cheeks has had multiple iterations, much more so than me, which I think is really exciting. Like, she's had an era where, you know, we were in a startup mode inside the business and she was there. You know, she used to have all these burns on her hands from pulling trays out of the oven. I used to buy more bracelets to hide the burns for her.
That's true.
And then she had an iteration where she was more of a mother, because if we didn't, our children would have been crazy, you know. And then she had this chameleon piece where she went into television, and then she went into the Housewives. So she's done all these interesting things, and she's probably pushed boundaries much more of herself personally and professionally than I have. I say I've been in the same job for 35 years, but it's very much was part of my passion. You know, I love business and I loved it and I love the scale. For Cheeks, when things start getting too big, that's not her, because she's about beauty and detail, whereas I'm about go, 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 go. So we're alike, but there's a difference.
So it's here we go again, Cheeks.
I actually call myself a gypsy because I feel like I'm always on the move and changing around, doing different things. But
I love that because she gives stuff a go, you know. And I do think that she's in a very pivotal moment of her career. And weirdly, without letting too much on, we both kind of are really. Yes. Like we as we finish 2025, 2026 can be a very different start for us both. And you're moving on with this incredible career, I see that, and I'm moving on in different directions as well. So yeah, change is good.
And
really
we have
important.
a wedding for our son, which is also
that's
incredibly exciting
because
we've done it obviously for thousands of other people, and now it's our turn to do it for us, and it's really fun.
Although I keep telling the clients, you know, the problem is we can't afford us. I look at the bills and I'm going, God, that big group is expensive.
Cheeks, I have to say, as a woman, incredibly inspiring career.
Oh, thank
really
you.
Inspiring. And as friends, watching you over the years, there's this incredible confidence, not just in style, but in self. It feels really hard-earned, actually, and authentic. Was there a turning point where you really started to feel comfortable in your own skin?
It's so funny because as a girl at school, I was the most unconfident person. I was always social. I always had lots of friends and I loved that part of my life. But when it came to me, I didn't feel that way. And probably even up until my 40s, I never felt that. And it was really then that I realised that actually, and in fact, there was a girl who worked for us, and at the time I was doing all the decor for our big group events at the races, and she said to me, have you stopped and looked at what you've created and done? And we were running around, it was the night before the derby, and I hadn't. And it was the first time I realised that that's a really important thing to do. So I did, I stopped, I walked around, I acknowledged that, yes, that looked good, and yes, that marquee looked fabulous and all the rest of it. And I think that that's something that is really important to do. I don't take anything that's happened for me for granted. I think I'm incredibly lucky, but the confidence thing has been a slow burn because it's not natural, honestly.
No. And I think she found her real power, weirdly, through that Housewives show.
Really?
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, I was in situations that I never expected to be in.
Yeah, but you realised how strong you were and what confidence you really had and your ability to navigate difficult situations. And, you know, before that, it was very much, Bruce and Cheeks behind the thing. The tables flipped, which was really great.
True. And the power of knowing when to say no.
Yes.
In situations like that
is actually the best word to have.
Yeah.
And now at 56, I feel like I'm in the prime of my life. I feel excited with everything that's coming my way. And every time I get an email from someone saying, will you come on board as an ambassador or will you do a collaboration? I'm like, me? Okay, yes, let's do it.
Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. And it's fun. And I love the ability and the chance that I get to do all these amazing things and meet incredible people.
She said the other day, isn't it funny they still ask it, I'll stop snoring, an old chook like me to do this. And I said, no, you are in the most valuable period as a woman because you know your power and there's a market share there that is so wide. And I think it's exciting.
Inspiring for women post 50 too.
Absolutely.
And honestly, the messages I get from women asking me everything you could possibly. I had a hip replacement. Who did you go to? What did you do? How was your recovery? Like, I feel like I've always shared every part of my life, so there's no secrets. How do you cope with children living overseas? How do you cope working with your husband? All that sort of stuff. I feel very privileged that people even consider me as someone to ask.
I think it's great too because as women we run around, we don't actually pause to look at what has been. So it's lovely that you've been able to do that.
Just say, men are pause, sorry. Oops. But we don't pause much either.
Cheeks, you've seen the reinvention of Bruce many times. Probably, we've only had glimpses of what has gone on there. I'm really interested, if you were to give this next chapter a title.
Oh, for him.
The one that captures where he's heading, not just where he's been, what would that be?
Oh, that is a really tough one because Bruce is many things. But I would say that it would probably be something powerful with one word like, oh my God, I can't think of it. You probably know what in your head what it would be.
No, I can't think of it. I think you're going to say Shogun or something.
No. But it's sort of like a strong, powerful word, but like,
Braveheart.
No, not Braveheart. But it's exciting. He's so passionate. Like, that's the thing. He's driven.
He's driven, actually.
That's it. He's driven.
And I have to say, Bruce, Chyka touched on it in the beginning, but your business acumen is, I don't think people actually understand, it's next level. It's strategic, it's deeply considered, it's built on curiosity as much as instinct. And not many people actually know that you went back to Harvard and studied. What led you to that decision, and what did that awaken in you as an experience personally and professionally that really surprised you?
It's interesting. And it's funny, isn't it, when you look back together, there's decades, right? And so we were both in our 40s when there was sort of seminal change happening for us both. You did Housewives and but when I got to my 40s, I felt very ill-educated. And so, we had grown this business to a certain scale. And I was like, I don't know how to handle this to get it to the next stage. And when you can't find a solution yourself, that's where you need to go and source help. Doesn't matter if it's a therapist or whatever it might be, you need to find the trapdoor to get to the next location. So for me, that's when I joined YPO, that's when I went to Harvard. And so I just changed some things in my life to make sure I was set up for success for where I needed to go. So
which is actually the perfect segue. We talked about this actually off camera, but your personal brands. And I have to say, you both have been extraordinary examples of people who have not only understood the importance of it, but you've built and protected your personal brands with such authenticity and grace. What would you say to others that are still in the process of becoming and building their own names and navigating challenges and sort of trying to balance this authenticity and ambition?
I think it's tricky. I'll just jump in, but I think it's very different once you know than when you didn't. So you were very much ahead of the curve when social media started happening. No different than, we were very fast to get into the internet. We were very lucky with regards to a business perspective. The Cheeks had already understood that the world of the aesthetic was more important than the food on the plate. So when things pivoted and socials became really strong, as a business, we were already ready for that because we had environment already tucked into our back pocket. So marketing activations were already natural to us. With regards to personal brand, you knew from the point of view of how powerful social was that was a very interesting mechanism. So it became natural. I think now when people are looking at, and why so much of it is inauthentic, is because they already know the levers. It's a bit like when people go into Big Brother or something in the beginning. It's really interesting. Once season 16 comes through, it's like, oh my God, they all want to be famous. So that's, I think, a pivotal change. We started at the right time. So it makes it easier.
But I also think it's about being brave too, because you have to jump. And to jump is scary. And I think that you don't know what happens on the other end of it. And it's just being prepared for whatever it is. And I think it's the good, the bad. And the bad's just as important as the good, because that is also the thing that defines and hopefully changes you and helps you put yourself back on track or go into a new area. But I think all those things are really important. And I really believe giving everything a go. Like it may not work for you on this side, but it may on the other. So don't stop just because there's been one failure.
Swings and roundabouts.
I agree. And it's putting as many tools in the toolkit
Absolutely.
as you can.
And also to talking to people. When we started our business, there was no such thing as a mentor. People didn't give out advice freely or help you. Now, the number of girls that message me saying, will you be my mentor? Because I don't want to make mistakes. Now, I don't agree with that either, because you do need to make mistakes. But I love the fact that women or men are asking for someone to help guide them in an industry that they want to get into, but they want to have an understanding before they, go head first into it. And I love that.
Equally, we're in a weird space. I find this current generation are overthinkers.
Ooh.
We are probably underthinkers.
Maybe we're the opposite.
When we said before, did we strategize and think about it? No, it just sort of happened.
You leapt forward.
I think we just got on with it kind of thing. And I think sometimes so many people are working out the plan that they never get to the do, And I often watch
they
and
lose it
listen
because it's gone past.
their business groups and things, and everyone's talking about everything but the product. don't ever forget the product. Where have you added value? How beautiful is it? Is it desirable? What can you do? That's the most important thing, the product.
It's a bit like the meeting before the meeting. Like, I'm sorry, I think that is ridiculous, because isn't the meeting meant to be when you talk about it all? To have a pre-meeting kind of loses it all.
It's crazy.
I'm
What
like,
are you
that
doing
is
today?
ridiculous.
I'm going to the pre-meeting. She said, what's the pre-meeting? I said, that's the meeting so everyone knows what's happening in the meeting.
Come on,
She said,
Lord.
why is there a meeting?
So every enduring partnership, I think, has a bit of a moral code to it. It's this kind of quiet thread that almost guides you when things get hard. How do you both look at the world through that shared lens?
I am a massive believer in talking through everything, but kindness. I have girlfriends that I've heard bitch about their husbands and say the most negative things, and I don't agree with that, because as far as I'm concerned, our relationship is the most sacred thing that I have. And Bruce can give me the shits, there's no doubt about it. But I will never ever speak badly about him. I always have nothing but absolute love and compassion for this man. And I truly, truly believe that even on a bad day, he's still the best man in the world. So I don't like when I hear negativity, because to me that just brings everything down. So kindness is my number one word.
And we have a very deep mutual respect of each other. And that has been there since the beginning. And so that to me is the moral compass of the way in which, our boundaries of how the relationship works, whether it's about flowers or food or the kids or the business or whatever, that is always the mainstay.
I just love that. I think becoming is very much about your own self-belief, but wow, isn't it magical when you find a partner that really supports you?
Absolutely.
But it only gets better too, Helen, when, I'm a complex person, most definitely. Cheeks is growing in and thing. It's when you're both
Go
feeling...
into your complexity.
No, but it is when you're both, it sounds corny, but when you love yourself, you can love someone else. And as you age and as you become more confident in yourself, two strong individuals that come together, more powerful than one that's overarching all the other. We also too, I find it interesting when I watch other people's relationships. When we had $400 a week to spend, we got $200 each. And now, okay, we might have a little bit more, but it's exactly the same. So we've always had financial equity, and I think that's a massively important thing, because so many relationships that I see, the male, or often I see it often that the female has all the financial power, and it's held against each other, and it's very dangerous. It's something that should always be kept totally equal.
Great message. For those coming up behind you, and there's many, young entrepreneurs, creative couples, your children, what wisdom would you like to impart on them?
I think that you need to surround yourself with good people. You need to have people in your life, and it doesn't need to be very many. My mother always said, if you've got 5 friends on one hand, that's all you need, and it's the truth. People that you trust and who give you the advice, good and bad. And I think that, I said it before, I'll say it again, give everything a go. Don't be scared to try and make mistakes. It's okay if you do.
Our children aside, who are quite entrepreneurial, that was their upbringing, I'm finding this generation a little bit lacklustre, because people are not wanting to take risk. And I think the COVID pandemic definitely had an impact on that, because a safe job with X amount of dollars is very assuring for people. But risk-taking is very fun, and if we hadn't have taken risks and jumped off those cliffs together, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. So we may not have always had work-life balance with our children and with ourselves, but that work ethic and that acumen and that entrepreneurialism, that's the fun, right? And I'm very nervous that I see not enough of it coming through.
Well, and I think there's this fear around cancel culture.
Absolutely.
I think that's really tough.
But also too, when you're an entrepreneur, a job doesn't start at 9 and finish at 5. It is 7 days a week. It is 365 days a year, and it never stops. I mean, we both sit on the couch at night time. I'm working on ideas for Harris Scarf. Bruce is working on emails. We never stop. It just may look on social media like we're out every night at a party, but it's not like that.
Everyone says, oh, you're in Europe most of the time. I said, yeah, we're in Europe, but I get up at 4 a.m, I work from 5, I finish 11, then I go to the market and buy some panini.
I love it. Panini's still in there. Bruce, you open your book with the line that you and Chyka have been creators of dreams and sellers of memories. Such a beautiful and evocative description of what you've given so many people. It made me wonder, in today's world, and you sort of touched on it briefly there, where everything just moves so fast and it just feels so transactional, has some of the magic been lost?
No, I don't think it ever will be. I mean, human nature is really great, you know. Love is great, having fun and joy. You know, those things never go away. You know, you can look through history and see war. I mean, look at this horrific situation that we're looking at now. There's terrible things going on, but there's always a pearl in there, right? And that's what you've got to keep going for. And, you know, all we've done over all of these years is done that, sold memories. And I always say, what does Monday look like? And if Monday doesn't look amazing because you had this incredible experience on the weekend that was orchestrated by whoever, or you just had the most wonderful time together, that's what it's all about. Because at the end, you know, and I look at, you know, we talked about my dad before, you know, there's no point having all the stuff if you haven't had all the fun. So, you know, we've had fun every day.
Do you know, it's funny, we had my mum and dad up in Sydney last weekend, and both of them, I watched them looking at photos, old photos of just holidays and things that they had. And I hadn't realised how important that was, because obviously they haven't travelled as much because of just, you know, getting older and COVID and all the rest of it. They're the things that are important. So if you can't create memories by looking at a photo and it instantly brings back something, then you're missing out.
Work hard, play hard. Like, a lot of people don't know how to have fun. I always, you know, and we know a lot of very wealthy people. I look at them and go, why aren't you having any fun? You've got all the toolkit. And then I have other people who've got, you know, don't have the same amount of wealth, and God, they're having a great time. And I'm sort of like, you know how to enjoy yourself.
It's our life. We have to live it our way and make it fun.
Correct.
No one else is going to do it.
You know, when there's hurdles and when there's health dramas and you still got to find that thing. You've got to keep on finding the joy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, I've got one more thing.
Oh.
So I reached out to a couple of people that you may know.
Oh, this is your life.
It is a little, this is
Oh my
life,
gosh.
Bruce.
Oh, look, I've got my...
He's got his defence on.
My defensive position.
Here he goes. He's crossed his arms and he's ready to go.
I'll be relaxed.
I'd like to just read you two notes from two people I believe you know quite well.
Oh.
We'll be the judge of that after we read it.
You may to Mum and Dad. Being asked to write this letter feels so natural.
Don't cry.
As we all know, writing has always been my go-to for harder or more heartfelt
Jessie
conversations.
Keebaugh. Oh my God.
Especially when I was younger. Taking this moment to stop and reflect on you both feels incredibly special. An honour to memorialise everything
I'm a crier.
together. Cry your eyes out, Bruce. Both in life and in love. It's a rare experience to be born into a partnership like yours. To witness two people love each other so completely through romance, friendship and business. It's shaped me in ways that are difficult for most to relate to. I know how much of a privilege it has been to grow up around true love, and as I get older, I see more clearly just how rare it is. I've watched the work you've poured yourselves into each other, and perhaps most beautifully into everyone around you. You've built such a solid foundation that your love, grace, creativity and generosity extend effortlessly to your teams, your family and your friends.
Oh.
You didn't just show me how to love and be loved, you taught me how to be kind in the real world and in business. You've always wrapped your arms around the people you work with and built relationships grounded in trust, care and purpose. That's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned from you. You reap what you sow. When you build genuine relationships, you're surrounded by energy, by people who understand your vision and want to help you see it through. The big group is proof of that. It's a living reflection of everything you've created at home, a community of talented, driven people united by a shared goal and sense of purpose. Just like our family of four working together toward one foundation you built. You've created something uniquely yours, a rhythm that flows wherever love, grace and creativity lead. And that current runs through all of us. I also want to acknowledge the way you've both grown individually and together. Mum, you've always moved through life like water. You let things flow through you, lessons, love, challenges, and your openness to understand has always made life feel a little softer, a little more grounded. Dad, you've shown me a different kind of growth, one that's taken courage and conscious change. You've taught me more about growth in the last 5 years than anyone. Yes, in business, in how you stay ahead of trends, evolve as a leader and adapt to whatever comes next, but even more so as a man and as my father. You've shown that emotional growth isn't weakness, that it is what it is and it doesn't cut it anymore. You've proven that real strength is in standing up, owning your evolution and leaning through everything past, present and future. And while I know you'd both say that BJ and I are your proudest achievements, I hope you also see yourselves that way. You are your own greatest creations. You found each other because you were both deserving of a love like this, and the life you've built together is a reflection of all the work you've done on yourselves. I know I speak for both BJ and I when I say thank you for being the parents we could only have dreamed of, and for always being our rocks. With much love, Chessie.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
I've got one more for you.
She writes well, but you're really good. That's very smart.
Did not expect that at
I
all.
knew I'd get tears out of you both.
Oh, wow.
The last
She
one.
writes beautifully.
Yeah, she's an incredible writer.
She's a stunning.
Yeah, she's
stunning
amazing.
girl. What a pleasure it was to reach out to them, and so excited they were to participate. These will be in your little Loopels box at the end.
God,
My God.
Mum and Dad,
Oh, my God. BJ now.
when I think about everything you've built, not just the big group, but the world that's existed around it, what stands out most isn't the success, the creativity, or the scale of it all. It's the love. The way you've backed each other through every idea, every challenge, and every season of life. That partnership has always been the constant, the quiet force behind everything you've created. Growing up, I watched the way you worked together. Mum, leading with imagination, warmth, and an unshakable sense of style. Dad grounding it with courage, conviction, and generosity. You built something that made people feel seen, included, and part of something bigger. But beneath all of it was love, a kind of love that wasn't loud but steady. The kind that builds over years of shared belief, mutual respect, and knowing when to lean in for the other. That love and the way you've lived, it has been my blueprint. It's shaped how I see relationships, how I lead, and who I want to be. It's shown me that being a man isn't about control or bravado. It's about loyalty, compassion, and showing up. It's about standing beside, not in front. You've taught me that creativity and courage can coexist with kindness, and that building something meaningful, a business, a life, or a relationship, takes both heart and discipline. Watching you together has taught me that success doesn't mean doing everything. It means doing the right things with the right person for the right reasons. As Abs and I start building our own story, I carry that blueprint with me every day, the example you set of what it looks like to love deeply, to dream boldly, and to keep each other anchored through it all. Thank you for showing me what partnership really means, and for giving me the best possible roadmap of how to love and live with purpose. Love always, BJ.
Oh, my Lordy Lou.
God. Well, Chessie's wrong because they are our proudest achievement.
That is true.
Certainly
They are
are.
definitely our proudest achievements.
Oh, and that's naughty.
And Otto. So when you hear these words, what does it make you feel like about the many loops in life? The way we create, teach and give seems to circle back, often in ways we don't expect.
Well, I have to say, I mean, both Chessie's lived overseas now for 10 years and BJ's been away on and off for probably 5 or 6. And I miss those children every day of my life. Like, I miss them, but I FaceTime them, we chat, we have this amazing connection. Chessie will FaceTime me when she's got friends in the car, whatever. I feel so proud. Like, I feel so proud that what I know in my heart is what they see. So it kind of makes all the other stuff, all the things that maybe I felt guilty about in my past, it goes. It's very special, and I can't believe you did that. So thank you, because that is so beautiful.
It's really special.
Now I know why she hasn't spoken to me for 2 days. She's not a very good secret.
She didn't want to lie to you.
She's not a very
Please
good
don't
secret
say anything. There is also another letter from a couple of people that have worked with you. It's in your Loopels box at the end. They've written letters just to
that's
thank
so
you. All they've
beautiful.
gone on and started their own businesses, and how you both have inspired them. But
that's
Loopels
nice.
is really about those, as I said at the beginning, those moments of rupture, the full circle and coming back to self. But I want to thank you both. What I've loved most about this conversation is some of the stories we actually don't hear from you normally.
Yeah.
There's some really great ones. So thank you so much.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so beautiful. With the kids.
Thank you.
End on
Very,
tears.
very special. Yeah, I am a baller, which is a terrible trait.
Love it.
No, it's not. It's a great...
Loopels Conversations are available on your preferred podcast platforms. For exclusive behind-the-scenes insights, head to loopels.com.